Hi, I'm Alexander Maxim from PHP and IO. Today we will continue our series about PHP. We will check the string methods. This is the fifth part. We will check the number format, the ord, the parse str, print, and printf methods. Let's start with the number format method. What's this method and how we can use it? This function or this method accepts 1, 2, or 4 parameters and not 3. If only the parameter number or the first parameter is given, it will be formatted without a decimal part, but with a comma between each thousand. If both number and decimal parameters are provided, the number will be formatted with decimal places, 1 point as a decimal point and a comma between every thousand. With 4 parameters, the number will be formatted with decimal places, the decimal point parameter as a decimal point, and the separator parameter as thousandths separator. It has 4 parameters. The first is the number, which is the number to dial. If no other parameter is set, the number will be composed without decimals and with the comma as a separator between the thousands. The second is the decimal. It's optional. Specific how many decimals. If this parameter is placed, the number will be dialed with a point as a decimal point. And the third parameter is the decimal point. It's optional. Specifies which string to use for the decimal point. And the fourth is the separator. It's optional also, specifies which string to use for the thousandths separator. Only the first character of the separator is used. Let's take an example to understand the number format method. Firstly, let's create a hidden using the echo method, h3 hidden. Then I will print number format method. After that, I will create a number 250,000. Then I will use echo again to print the number without number format method is, and I will concatenate it with the number. After that, I will concatenate also the number with the BR. Then I will copy and paste the same here. And I will change the number here with the number format method. And I will pass the number as parameter to this method. So let's now change it with number format and let's reload and see the results. So we have the number without number format method is 250,000, but here with the number format we have the comma between the thousands. And this is what the number format return with 1 parameter. Now I will change the parameters to 2. So with the number format method with also 2 parameters, we have the number and the decimals after the decimal point. For example, I need 3 decimals after the decimal point. Let's reload and see, and we have 250,000. Then we have the decimal point, which is the point, and 3 decimals or 3 zeros after the decimal point. Let's, for example, specify it to 2, and I will use the $sign. Let's reload and see, and we have 250,000 dollars. Then we have the number format with 4 parameters. So we have the number format with 4 parameters. The parameters are the decimal point, then the separator. The decimal point is, for example, here in our case is the point, but I will change it to the sign, and the separator is the comma. I will change it to this sign, the slash. Let's reload and see the result, and we have the slash at place of the comma and the sign at place of this sign. This is the number format method. So we will format our number using the number format method. Let's see how it works. So we have the number 250,000. When we pass this number to the number format method, we have 3 directions. We have with 1 parameter, with 2 parameters, and with 4 parameters. So the number format method with 1 parameter, it will return a comma between the thousands. This is our number, and this is the number after using the number format with 1 parameter. If we use 2 parameters, the number and the decimals, we will get a decimal point and 2 numbers or 2 decimals after the decimal point. And with 4 parameters, with the decimal point and the separator, we will get this result. After that, we have the OR method. What's the OR method? This method or this function returns the ASCII value of the first character of a string. It has the string as parameter, and it returns the ASCII code of the first character of this string. Let's see an example to understand the OR method. Firstly, I need to copy the heading to define the OR method. Then I will create a string. This string is utopian, for example. I will use echo to print this string. The string is, and I will concatenate it with the string, then the br to break the line. Then I will use the OR method. So the ASCII code of the first character or the first letter of the string, and I will concatenate it with the string. Then I will concatenate also equals and the OR with the string method. So I will print the string, then the code ASCII or the ASCII code of the first letter of this string. Let's reload and see the results. So we have the string is utopian, and the ASCII code of the first letter of the string utopian is 85. I will now check if the letter capital U equals to 85 or no. Let's copy it and say the ASCII code of the letter capital U is, and I will concatenate it with the OR method with the letter capital U. Let's reload and see. So here we need other break line, and we have the ASCII code of the letter capital U is 85. So the OR method will get will return the ASCII code of the first letter or the first character of the string passed as parameter. Let's check if the small u equals to the capital U or no. So we have the small u now, and I will pass the small u and see the result. We need also to break the line. And this is the result. So the ASCII code of the letter small u is 117. Let's see how it works. So we have the string utopian. When we pass this string to the OR method, the OR will get the first letter. It equals to the OR u, and this letter will return 85. This is the result of the OR when we pass the utopian as parameter. The small u is difference, so it will return 117. This is the result. After that, we have the parse str method. What's the parse str method? This method or this function parses the string as if it were an HTTP request passed through the URL. All the variables it identifies are then created with their respective values. To access the query string calling URL, you must use the $server query string variable. The Magic Qt GPC configuration affects the display of this function because the parse str uses the same mechanism that PHP used to propagate the $get, $post, and so on. It has two parameters. The first is the string. The second is the array. It's optional. Specifies the name of an array to store the variables. This parameter indicates that the variables will be stored in an array. If the second array parameter is provided, the variables will be stored as a table index. Let's create an example to understand the parse str method. I will copy the heading again and change or to parse str method. Then I will create a string called get, and I have username equals Alexander and password equals Maxim. Then I will use parse str and pass the get string as parameter to the parse str method. Then I will use echo and print the username and echo with a br. I will concatenate it with the password. Let's reload and see the results. Firstly, so we have Alexander and Maxim. Why we get these results? Firstly, we haven't the username and the password. We have nothing because I haven't initialized these variables. When we pass this string username and password with these values to the parse str method, it will create these variables in our page and set these values to these variables. So when we pass this string to the parse str method, it will return two variables. Imagine if we have another, for example, age equals 12. It will return also the age as variable, and the value of this variable is 12. This is the parse str method. Let's create a form with the action is the same page and the method is the get. So we have a form with the action is the same page and method is the get. We have a label username and label password, input, and the input with the name username and the value is Alexander, and other input the type is password, the name password, and the value is Maxim. Let's reload and see. And we have username and password with inputs. We have Alexander and Maxim as password. When we click on connect, we have this URL. Username Alexander and password is Maxim. It's the same string here. So when we pass this string to the parse_str method, it will return the username Alexander and the password Maxim, and we can like it get the values that you have entered in the input as value to check if this user, for example, exists in our database. This is the parse_str method. We can also give it an array as second parameter, and then I will use echo pre, and I will use printf or printr to print this array. Let's reload and see the results. And we have username is Alexander and password is Maxim inside the array. After the parse_str method, we have the print method. What's the print method? This method or this function displays one or more strings. The print is not really a function, it's technically a language structure. This means you don't have to use the parentheses. It has the string or more string to send as parameter. Let's see an example to understand more. So we have other hidden of the print method. We use print and the string as parameter. Let's reload and see. And we have the print method. We have the word utopian. The word utopian is now without an HTML tag. Let's inspect the element and see the results. So we have inside the pre, we have utopian without an HTML tag. Print method is with the HTML tag h3 with the hidden, but utopian is free in the page. Let's see how it works. So we have the string utopian. When we use print and we pass the string as parameter to the print, is equals to the echo method. It will return utopian and it will print utopian inside the browser, but it's free. It's not in HTML tag. After that, we have the printf method. What's the printf method? This method or this function used to produce a formatted string. In the printf method, argument 1, 2 parameters will be added %signs in the main string. In the printf function, you must use placeholders if there are no more %signs in front of the arguments. It has at least 2 parameters. The first is the format, specify the string and how to compose the variables in this string. And the second is the first argument to be inserted at the first sign or the first %sign, in the format string. The third is also an argument to be inserted at the second %sign, etc. Let's see how it works. So we have a hidden with printf. This is the number. I will print the number with different format using the printf method. So we have the number is with the %d, it signifies that it's a decimal number. So let's print the number. Then I will copy the same and paste it with a different format. For example, here in binary, number in binary is, and I will use the same number. Then, for example, I will print the number with the floating format. So the number is, and I will use the %f. Let's reload and see the results. So I need to use the break line here and here. Let's reload and see, and we have the number is a decimal number. In binary is, and with floating number is like that. We have 6 decimals after the decimal points, and we can format it using the number format method. Let's see how it works. So we have the number 15. When we pass this number to the printf, we can use the %d, which is a decimal number, or the %b, which is a binary number, and a %f, which is floating number, but we can specify the decimals after the decimal point, which is $2 to specify that I want to see 2 decimals after decimal point. And we have here %c, the character according to the ASCII value, %e, capital E, %u, %f, etc. I can read this checklist to understand more and to know how to work with the printf method. We have also the parse str. We have the get here, username Alexander and password Maxime. When we pass this string, as we mentioned, with this form, we will get this URL, and the parse str will divide the username and the password to variables and sets these values as values to these variables. Today we have learned the number format, the OR, the parse str, the print and printf methods. Thank you for your watching.